am with Jennifer Kempson. She's known on YouTube as Mama Furfur by nearly 60,000 of her subscribers. She's a Scottish award-winning content creator, best-selling author, and entrepreneur. She's passionate about helping people go from financial stress to money success. And I've known you from YouTube. I'm a subscriber. When I was looking for financial inspiration, I was going on YouTube and I kept seeing American YouTubers talk about financial things. So it was really nice to see somebody who's actually based in the UK who can give me advice that's specific to the UK. So it was really, really great to see that. And yeah, so let's get into it. I'd love to know where the name Mama Furfur came from.
this is the most common question. I love it.
Yeah.
You get to the basics. So Mama Furfur, the short answer is it's a nickname that I've had for many, many years. So when I first started working at age 16, there was two Jennifers in the shop that I used to work in. So they used to call me Furfur because it was easier than saying Jennifer 1 or Jennifer 2. And over the years, for the past 8 years, I've become a mother, but I'm also a stepmom. And so it was a way for the stepchildren to actually call me something other than my name. And so it just kind of stuck. And when I started blogging originally about 7 years ago, I was blogging about parenthood and just general life. And I thought it was quite quirky. And I just set up a YouTube channel just as something as part of a blog. And yeah, it's just stuck around. I started making videos about money, and now it's the term that people search for me under. So on Google and YouTube, you see the term Mama Furfur pop up. But I think, do you know what, it's working in my favor because people will remember that rather than my name. So, if it sticks in your mind, but yeah, everyone asks, so there you go. It's not too exciting, but at least it has an origin in some way.
No, it's a cool story. I love it. So obviously, to start a YouTube channel, you have to be passionate about a subject. And you started doing it on going from financial stress to money success. So what made you or inspired you to start doing that?
Sure. So it's actually through life experience, as everything does. So when my husband and I got together, he had £24,000 worth of consumer debt on cards and loans from previous relationships. Just bad planning, bad mistakes and things. And he ended up carrying that money, if you like, moving forward. So me growing up in Glasgow, I'd never experienced debt before. My family were mum stayed at home, dad worked. They had a credit card, but it was used and paid off full. Like it wasn't something that was talked about having credit. And so that's how I lived my adult life up to that age. It was, if you've got money in the bank, you spend it. I don't think I had a credit card. And so when my husband and I got together and we're, having a family and everything, I knew that I had to get rid of this debt. This was not something we were going to manage. And when I was on my second maternity leave with my youngest, I realised one day that I had to work. There was no other choice. There was no option for one of us staying at home or part-time work. It was full-time work, both of us, and that's the only equation that would work to pay this debt, which was like £600 a month on top of bills. And also we had other financial commitments, like my husband paying child support for his other children. So there was lots of different commitments. And that night I can remember going, do you know what, this is crazy. And I'm an engineer, so I'm all about finding out solutions. I'm like, I've got to find a way. And so I read as many books as I could find, watched videos, blogs, and it quickly became apparent. First of all, I was learning about saving, investing, paying off debt, everything, applying that knowledge, so seeing it happen. But as you've described, it seemed to be all men in America talking about money on YouTube, the place that I was going to mainly for information. And you still find that, like right now, we're 4 or 5 years down the line, there's not a lot of women talking about money in the UK and America. And so I've been a salesperson all my career, that's just what I do. And I thought, I'm just going to pick up a camera and I'm going to share. And so, for the first 9 months, I think there was 100 people or, 500 people watching. But that's what I decided to do. I decided to share what I was learning. And so it didn't matter that I was, a Glaswegian woman. It didn't matter I was in the UK. I just felt like I'm just going to share what I cannot find out there for the UK. And, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. I've been doing it for nearly 3 years now.
Wow. That's amazing. There was so many things you said in there that I was just like, wow, like the fact that you didn't have any credit, the fact that you didn't really know anything about like, yeah, dealing with having to deal with credit and debt. And that's an amazing thing to come from. That's really amazing that you came from a family that dealt with things, I guess, the right way. Because
Yes,
for me,
exactly.
I think when I was at university, the main thing is like people are selling you like, get this credit card and you're basically going into debt very early on before you even have
Yep.
a proper job. So that's amazing that, yeah, that you did that. And that's an amazing
Yeah.
story.
The
But
only thing I had ever really had was, so I went to university up in Glasgow, and we don't pay as Scottish people for our first
exactly.
degree. I
I
know.
think that's
We do,
amazing.
we do something. Well, obviously, it comes out of taxpayers' money, the UK. So we put in higher tax rates. So that's something that's unique to Scotland. We pay different tax rates.
Yeah.
But part of that is that the first degree for people is free. But I did take out one student loan to cover books 1 year. And as soon as I entered employment, I paid it off completely in full. I wasn't for, paying it partial.
Wow.
And so for me, even having those little bits of grant money, it was just something I wanted rid of completely, and that was it. So that was my only take. But you're right. So I went to university at the start of the 2000s. We weren't really bombarded the same way, but it was definitely the culture to get your student loan. Like, even though if you were Scottish, you didn't really need it apart from books. But it was a culture of, well, it's free money, I'll just take it. And I just don't buy that. I just don't do what people normally do. I
Yeah.
kind of make my own mind up about it.
I was watching a video yesterday, which was about Dave Ramsey actually. And these people were saying that they have to be weird because like that's something that Dave Ramsey said. And I think, yeah, I think it's you're right in the sense of you have to be a bit weird and do things that are different to get financial success. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about pensions. Really,
We're going
really
to make
fun.
this, we're going to make it trendy and sexy. It's going to be great.
It's really cool. It's like, yeah, the next thing happening. But I watched one of your videos from about a year ago, and you were basically giving pension basics, and I thought it was really good. It was really informative. I got pretty much what I needed from it to kind of understand it a bit more. And actually, when I first started working, the reason that I wanted to also bring this up is because when I first started working, one of my managers, when you've got like your employment papers and stuff like that,
Yep.
and I ticked to opt in for the pension, and she was like really surprised, like, "Oh, you're gonna opt in?" And I was like, "Yeah." So don't most people opt in? Like she was like, "No, most people your age don't really opt in." I guess in her
Wow.
experience, that was, yeah, what she noticed. And I was thinking like that is such a good thing to talk about because, yeah, I mean, I don't know if people still do that now, but I would love to us to talk about that and encourage people to opt in, and outside of
Absolutely.
that, just to understand pensions a bit more. So I guess the first question to you is, what are the benefits of having a pension?
The benefits of having a pension
Yeah.
are when you're unable to work or you choose not to work later in life. So at the moment, a private pension is from age 57 in the UK before you can access. And also we have the state pension, which a lot of people have heard about, which is where the government give you a benefit. You can't get access to that till you're 66, 65. They're changing it every year. It moves and
Yeah.
moves. So let's assume it's kind of like a private pension at 57, but it's basically this lump sum of money where you forego paying tax on that saving pot right now, and you'll pay tax when you withdraw it when you retire. So it really is a savings pot of money that you will use as income in later life when you can't work or you choose not to work. Because we have to remember we're fit and healthy right now, whatever age, but there's going to come a point in time where you might not want to work to get the same income. And so this savings pot can grow over time where you can withdraw an amount or you can basically buy an income with it as well. So it becomes your wage every single month to pay for your bills and pay for the life that you want.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, you definitely hit on something. We have to start thinking of the future because I think when you're young or younger in your early 20s, you're just kind of thinking of the here and now. And you're thinking, I want to go on holiday. I've finally got a job and I want to spend money on X, Y, and Z. But you also have to think about yourself when you're older and what your life is going to be like. And if you want to still have the same quality of life as now.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I actually got I got my little pension statement thing from work because I've joined a new workplace. And and when I looked at the amount, I was like, this is not actually as much as I thought it would have been. And I know you
Yeah.
can have like calculators that you can go on and you can calculate your pension online. So people, you can do that. But yeah. So do you think it's enough to rely on a pension?
Well, it all depends how much you're putting away.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, the default in the UK right now is 4%. That's what you're automatically putting in. So, 4% of your gross pay, so that's the pay before tax, is usually you opt in to invest that in your pension, or you can increase it up to your full wage. So, you can go from 4% up to 100%. It's completely up to you. So, if I'm being honest, if you're putting in that bare minimum, let's say 4 or 5%, even if you were putting in for 40 years or 45 years, it's probably just going to cover what you're experiencing now, or probably less of the wage that you have now, because it's all to do with how much you're putting away relative to the salary you need. So that's where, you know, the higher the percentage you're putting away, obviously then that can grow and compound. And really the rates, to kind of give you a ballpark, are if you're putting away 10% of your income in total, it'll probably take you about 35, 40 years to generate the same income from that pension pot. If you're putting closer to maybe 30%, then it's probably closer to about 22 years. So you can see very quickly, the higher the percent, and then, you know, if we want to talk crazy numbers, if you want to put 65% of your wage away, you could retire in about 5 or 7 years from the money. So, you know, very quickly we get there, but you're sacrificing now. A great thing about pensions though is actually, if you work for someone else, generally they will put in contributions on top of your money. So that's something that they don't, this is extra money on top of your wage that you only access it when you put into a pension. So a lot of employers will say, right, if you put in 5%, I'm going to match you and put in 5% on top. So that means you're actually putting in that 10%. But the great thing is you've not had to earn that 5%. It's a bonus.
Yeah.
And like my company that I work for, it's actually 5%, and they put on 10% on top.
Wow.
So
So
there's a huge, you know, lots of employees have so many different terms. If you can, this is my one piece of advice, please take the free contribution maximum that you can, because it is free money. And as we've described, like that percentage that you're saving, it has a ripple effect. It compounds. It's not just the same as 1 or 2%. It's basically an exponential curve that happens. It really affects your money. So that would be the first thing. Go and find out what's the maximum contribution of money I can get for free. And then if you can budget for sacrificing the 5 or the 7 or the 8, if you're young as well, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's free money. And certainly that'll carry on with you. The other great thing about pension is as well, remember we talked about it being tax-free right now. So it's taken from your top line. If you contribute to private pensions, they will actually add your tax contribution back on. So for example, if you have a private pension from your take-home pay, the money you get, you can put that in and you apply for a self-assessment, and the government will give you back the tax that you would have paid. So again, that's free money on top. You're getting your tax back just in the same. So it's the only, or one of the few ways where actually tax is free right now, but you will be taxed when you withdraw it. So it's like an income in future.
Yeah. So maybe you could talk about private pensions a bit more.
It's sexy. What would you like to know about them? They're all about whatever you put, you know, wherever you're putting your pension. I would also treat this like your investments. Find out what they're investing in on your behalf. So actually go onto your go onto your pension portal at work and see what's the company they're using to invest your money, and what are they actually investing in, like the funds. What are they buying with your money? Another thing with sometimes company pensions is, remember, this is where a huge organization has gone to another provider and basically just got the best deal that they could. And there tends to be sometimes higher charges for your company pension because they've kind of got a captive audience. They've got maybe 10,000 people or 20,000 people all investing. So another thing to be mindful of is the charges in your pension. So my threshold is if you're seeing something about 1% or above per year charges, so they're taking money from your pension as a looking after it, that's quite a high amount, because it actually again compounds and takes your money away. the stat is that if somebody's charging you 2.5% annual fee, that within about 10 years or so, you're basically getting about, I think it's 25 or 30% drop in your pension value just with the charges. So it really does add up. So that's the first thing. Find out what they're investing in and find out the fees. If you're not really that fussed with what they're doing, keep getting the free money, make that your focus. But that's maybe where you want to have a private pension that you can have as many as you like, many different companies as you like. And that's where I would do my due diligence. So there's people like Vanguard you can have a private pension with. You can have Pension Bee, you can have Virgin Money, you can have Free Trade. Free Trade have just launched one actually in the past couple of weeks. So that's an investment app. And it really is a case of you're putting money into that, but it's locked down until you can get access at 57 or whenever they decide for the private pension is. And so for those particular circumstances where you've opened the private pension, again, choose the funds that you want to invest in. So just the same as any other investment. Do you want to pick ethical companies? Do you want to pick fossil-free companies? Do you want to pick something that's global trackers? It's completely personal to what you want. But again, look for the charges. So I quite like Pension Bee and Vanguard. Their charges are quite low, maybe about 0.14 all the way up to about 0.5, 0.6. So you can see quite quickly you're keeping more of the money. And so it's really all about what you actually want to invest in as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. So let's go into the future. And, I know loads of people that have retired and they're going on holiday, they're living it up. They're going not right now, but before the pandemic was happening. I know one particular couple that is always on holiday, and I'm like, your pension must be amazing because you're always away. But there's some people who obviously haven't put enough money away. So what could life look like for them? I'll say one thing. So I know that there's a guy that I follow on Instagram. I know that his parents actually moved to an Eastern European country so that they could save a lot more money that way, so that their expenses are lower, as well. So that's one of the things that could happen if you don't really have enough money, I guess, to live on in the UK. That could be a solution. Maybe we could talk around some of the things that could happen if you don't have enough money and also the options that people could have.
Oh, it's a good question. So it kind of boils down to if you don't have enough money, whether you're retired or otherwise, you have to look at life choices. So often when you get to pension age, if you're finding that you've not got enough to cover, well, let's say you've maybe got 50% or 60%, the chances are you're going to have to find income somewhere. So you might have to work part-time, you might have to do things like that. You can certainly look at different locations in the UK, look at, keeping your expenses down. The state pension is there currently, whether it's there when you and I are older. I don't know. It might be means tested. But that is currently, I think, £500 or £600 per person per month. Now, if we're thinking demographics, I'm up here in Glasgow. My monthly bills come to about £1,500 to pay for everything. And then I've got food and fun and petrol on top. But down south in London, you're probably double that. So again, the state pension is one size fits all. Usually it's one amount of money regardless. So I think what I would say as us thinking of the future, I wouldn't necessarily think about retirement age as the goal, but the greatest advice I could give is don't assume your one income source is you set for life. So if you work for somebody or, you've got your own business, the smartest thing, especially our generation, no other generation has had it like this, where you can start a podcast, where you can start a website. Think about multiple incomes. So for example, in your case, love the podcast, but I would be saying, can we make sure you're earning some money from it? Because this could be, could you look for sponsors? Could you create products to help people, And then I'm also thinking, could you put this podcast on YouTube so you can maybe get a bit of monetization from it? You're doing it anyway. So literally I would brainstorm and say, okay, give me 5 ways I could turn the things I'm passionate about into an income. And what happens is, like I did with Mama Furfur, you make no money for maybe a year or 6 months or whatever, but very quickly it can then become, you've got multiple streams of income, and also things like investments and savings. You
Mm-hmm.
can think about thinking of what's called cash flow investments. So that would be where you invest money in financial assets, but you actually get paid a dividend, or you get paid a return every month. So that's free money back for you being an investor. So the most important financial advice I think now for our generation, and what I'll be passing to my boys, is don't just assume one source of income for life. Don't
Yeah,
just rely on a pension. Let's think about multiple ways that you can get paid for your talents and services.
definitely. Yeah. I think yeah, you've covered a lot.
I'm giving you my wisdom. I'm giving it as much as I can.
That's really good. Yeah, I think definitely. I think making money off of the things that you're doing is actually really a really good point. And that's one thing that I'm trying to figure that out as well. And I've like started having other forms of I've always been interested in business. So that's one thing that I've always been like, I'm definitely gonna have something regardless of if I have a 9 to 5, regardless if I'm doing really well in my 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
I just want to always have my own thing that I can say I created and started, and yeah, and makes money as well. So I think other than that, is there anything else that you feel like we haven't touched on that you'd love us to talk about?
No, I think one of my things right now is, obviously there's a lot to do with FIRE movement that's very popular with our well, I'm slightly older than you obviously, but this kind of new generation working and looking for different traditional ways. So FIRE is financial independence, retire early. And one of the key things is, saving or investing so that you don't need to work another day. So you've got this
Mhm.
big pot of money then that you can live off,
Yeah.
which is basically a pension. And I always say that actually the goal isn't really saving or investing. Don't think about that as a priority. It's actually time freedom. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm saying in this conversation, how can we monetize or think about you sharing your talents as well for money?
Mm.
Because I believe we've all been blessed with gifts that are very unique. We've all got a specific reason why we've been given these gifts. So focus on that whilst you also invest. And maybe what makes me quite unique is in the UK is I talk about giving an awful well. It's one of the
Yeah.
key pillars for me. And it kind of triggers people, actually, if I'm being honest. Like, people are,
Really?
yeah, that's actually the thing that most people will not agree with me on, the giving
Mm.
principle. But
Yeah.
for my own life, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's absolutely huge in
Yeah,
terms of your
me
money
too.
management. Giving is one of the fundamental things that we do every single month. It's
Mhm.
a part of our business strategy. It's part of
Mm.
our personal life, and we've seen our wealth and wisdom about money grow exponentially, because I don't crave it. I don't like stick hold of it. I can send it
Yeah.
back out. So I would really say, all the different terms and movements, go deeper and find out what are they actually trying to create for you. It's time freedom, it's time flexibility. Okay, what about you getting paid incredibly well for your gifts that you've already got? Well,
Yeah.
that would actually be quite good. That means I don't need to do the day job. Or
Yeah.
so that would be my best advice, that go deeper into what you actually want with your money, truly, but
Mhm.
go further than that, because money is only a tool. Money's just something we use. There's actually, it's our time that's the most precious asset we have.
Exactly.
So think about banking that time on stuff that you want, and then I promise you the money will just appear and everything else will work into action.
Yeah. There was something that you said earlier on, when you were talking about why you started your YouTube channel, which I thought was really interesting. You said it was to do with your family situation. How can, say, you're a young person and you're just getting into a relationship, maybe you're getting married or whatever, and now you have to merge your finances together. How can we deal with that emotional coil? And how, yeah, maybe give some advice and speak into that situation and how
Okay.
you dealt with that. And yeah.
So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was just two people. If we're going to be a family unit, they've got to be, it's all in the same. So it
Mm,
wasn't, and that's something, again, people say, oh, that's your husband's day. I would never do that.
mm,
Yeah, but that's the problem. You're coming in with a mindset of that's his, not
mm.
mine. I was just like, how can we get rid of this?
Yeah.
Let's throw what we can at it. And the best thing is, if you truly believe you're called to be with someone and you see a future with them, money is, probably the leading cause or the second leading cause of a lot of relationship breakdowns, marriage, partnerships, whatever.
Yeah.
If you can, from the first foot, be as if this is our money and we're going to use it to design life together, it doesn't matter who brings it in, doesn't matter how you bring it in, you will not, I don't believe you'll see the same arguments. I don't believe you'll, because it's all like, if, in our situation, the money technically comes from my day job and my businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean that I'm going to let my husband struggle or my kids struggle or anything. So
Yeah.
you've got to see it as, it's, you can always make more money. It's much better to have that solid foundation, have discussions. Like my husband and I sit down every month and talk about our budget and say, right, this, we also talk about giving. So it's, right, darling, or, you know, I feel inspired to give here this month. Do you agree? Yeah, that's good. Or have you had inspiration? Or, you know, make it fluid, make it just a thing that you just do together, and then put it to the back burner. So my advice would be, if you're committed to this person, then go full in.
Yeah. I think what I hear from you is you're basically saying that good communication, and when you make a commitment to somebody, just dive in and deal with the problem. Don't start backtracking.
No, exactly, because one
Yeah.
of the things that does break people is when they
Yeah.
have money separate. But equally, when, let's say, a relationship ends,
Yeah.
money also doesn't bring out the best side in people either. And so if you have been combined anyway, then you can go, well, do you know what? Equally walk away, or, you know, we'll divide it equally. It's not all, well, good, I kept hold of my money, or
Yeah.
good, you know, you've been in it together, you've learnt your lessons, and then you just can equally, if you need to, go away as well, can't you?
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So where can people find out more about you and what you do? You've got a lot of resources. Maybe you could talk about the resources that you have. You've got the website. Yeah.
Yes. So we've got the website mamafurfur.com, but the common place you'll see me most often is YouTube. So if
Yep.
you type in Mama Furfur, you'll see me pop up. And we also have a podcast. My husband and I have a podcast, just like you do. It's called
Yeah.
the Prosperity Project. And the two of us chat about things, and that's my passion, is prosperity for people. So we talk about health, well-being, mindset. We go deep. We talk about things like giving and, you know, some of that old school wisdom that is very key to my life. So that's the Prosperity Project on all your podcast platforms. I've got a book called The Master Money Blueprint. There's going to be more
Yeah.
books coming out. There's going to be more. I've got them out there. And we've got some products. I've got a spreadsheet system and different things like that. So I know I keep busy, don't I? I'm going to bring out a
You've
class.
got a lot going on. You got a lot going on.
What else do you do with your time? No, it's been 3 years of a journey, but yeah. So that's, you can find, and I'm on Instagram mainly at Mama Furfur as well.
Yes, definitely. And do you know what, guys? Just check her out and give her some love. She's really lovely in person and and on YouTube as well. So it was really nice for me to get to know you. And I think we've covered a lot. I think that's enough for probably information in regards to pensions. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. This is a delight, an absolute delight.